Almost done.
About my stay, but I don't think I'll be needing it now, sir.
Afternoon and good afternoon. Welcome to the Dededo Mayor's Office. Today we are having a public hearing for application GLUC Zone Variance Application H2025-30. The applicant Pipefish Services LLC, represented by TG Engineering, Mr. Marvin Aguilar, is requesting a zone variance for a height for the proposed installation of a 45-foot high fire suppression water tank, which is 15 feet over the allowable 30 feet height, and an 8-foot high perimeter fence, which is 2 feet over the allowable 6 feet height on lot number 5040-1 and lot number 5040-2 in the municipalities of Dededo and Tamuning in an M1 light industrial zone. Marvin?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for allowing us to present this application before you. If you recall, back in August 12th, the Department of Management had held this public hearing here on this particular case. So I'd like to present it to you. We're scheduled for today as well as tomorrow for public hearing as well. So again, thank you. Yes, indeed, this is an application for a height variance for height. We are Pipefish, or we represent Pipefish, and they are constructing and wanting to operate a data center. Similar to that what you see in Carlos Camacho Road in Tumon, and of course the Australian Cables facility, and of course the one down in Masson as well. So they're of that magnitude, and we do need fire suppression services. We have to build that according to code. We have to build it. So fire department, DPW, they don't build it. We have to build it, or rather install it as the water pressure is available. The purpose is to construct a 45-foot high water tank. It's designed at 45 feet because we do not have a whole lot of footprint to design. So I'll speak about that a little later. But the equation of 2 pi r squared came out to 45 feet with a very small footprint of approximately 50 to 60 feet in diameter. We're also coming in for an 8-foot security fencing system. However, we don't want to downplay it. We first put this in our application because it was exceeding the rule of 6 feet for fencing. But in our discussions with both land management and public works, they kind of sit on the fence, no pun intended, on it, because they say that some people interpret it as the fence being 6 feet, and then the security portion of it, which I'll show you a photo of that soon, is the peripheral of that system, and because of that, it actually falls within regs. We want to install a 50,000 square foot data center. The property is M1 zone. Data centers are permitted. And our first, this is my sticker, sir, I'm sorry. I didn't change that. Our first hearing was on August 12th. And following that was August 27th, the first hearing with the community. So to give you a quick idea for the audience out there in the cyber world, our property is located along what is known as the Dededo Road. We're about approximately 1,000 feet away from the entrance into Two Lovers Point. This thing was kind of cut off, but we're about 1,000 feet away on the opposite side. We are right next door to Cortec, or the next facilities rather, is the Cortec facility. As you know, Cortec has several industry-related activities. They have a staging area, they have an H2 worker housing facility. We have both the old wastewater treatment facility and the new one that was just activated a couple of years ago. And of course, right below us is the new GPA power plant. Getting in a little closer, this is the shape of our properties. They're kind of like rhomboid type. They're back to back, about similar size. This is just kind of, just to give you some sense of scale. It's lot 5040-1 and 5040-2. Around this area, you'll see the warm water well. So although our sign is up, you'll be able to locate our lots quite easily. And the properties have been cleared in the past. As I noted, we had our public hearing with the municipality of Tamuning, and this pink line represents the municipal boundary. Tamuning is on this side, and Dededo is in this side. So the the sidebar question you asked, regardless if you had the majority of the property on your municipality, by law we still had to hold it in Tamuning. She just beat you to it. Okay. And in fact, for lot 5040-1, I think we came up with about 200 square meters. It's a little size of, global city apartment. Anyway, so let's just show you, today we're having the first of two public hearings. Tamuning, they had last week is September 4th. Department of Land Management, they had everyone in Dededo on the 12th and Tamuning on the 27th of August. And so we've come a long way. We've come a long way up to this point. Performance standards. I don't know why I use this title, but the security fencing is necessary because it is a database center. So we need to protect, we need to protect it both physically and from a cyberspace perspective. So it is going to be built up to protect it from any type of physical breach. The final design of the data center will dictate the location of the water tank. And I'll show you a photo, a kind of rendition of what we're planning on putting out there right now. It's kind of being tweaked a little bit, but we're about 60 and 70% on the design. But it's going to dictate dictate the location of the water tank. So we have option one, which is 5040-2, lot 5040-2. Preferred location. It's a confined area because we're putting everything in, the fencing, the facility, parking, and whatnot. Here's a quick photo of the fencing system. Again, this is going to cut 6 feet, but this portion right here comes out about another 2, so it's a total, in some people's minds, it's a total of 8. So we're just being safe, and we're asking for a variance for a fence line height as well. So this is our first, this just came in. We presented this to Tamuning as well. It's going to kind of look like this. It's taking the whole entire lot with appropriate setbacks, of course. But you have a dual security gate system, automated, and then the fence line that goes over in the property, and likewise in here. So this is lot 5040-2, the rendition showing where our water tank is located. It's located in there's a term for this, our EWP area, which contains the tanks and exterior peripheral components that supports the facility. So we really want to put the tank in here. And the reason why we want to put the tank in here from the beginning is because although we're the property owner owns lot 5040-2 on this side, this property, there's voids, there's subterranean voids. In fact, when this design came out, part of the preliminary was to avoid this area because they think that the void kind of extends into both properties. So if we were forced to say, let's say one fire department says, no, this is too, we don't want it there, we want you to put it out here. We have to go out here and actually find a small footprint in this area to relocate it. Okay, it's not looking good. At least that's what I understand. I'm sorry. But, and here's another angle showing it fits in there and it meets the requirement. The height of the building itself is 29.9 feet high. This represents 15 feet right here. And it's kind of, how you say it, it kind of scales and scopes accordingly to the size of the entire facility itself. Not to say that this is where it's going to be located, but if we have to put it on lot 5040-1, which is not our preferred site, it's going to kind of look like this. Okay, so it's a way. There's this open void here, and we have this layer to try to find and try to locate. We prefer to have it less pipes, less fixtures, getting it closer to the facility itself makes it for an efficient and effective water suppression water tank system. It's kind of like a roadside kind of sort of a view of it, if we were to be located outside. And talking about height, Mr. Mayor, precedents have been set in this area already. If you're familiar with the Eager Towers project, that's going about 22 stories up. So by basic math, multiply that by 10, that's about 220 feet up in the air. Okay. We have the MPLJ, they're coming in for another 8 or 9 stories altogether. So we could expect probably up to 100 feet up in there. Of course, here we are, right next door to them. We're coming in for 45 feet. Trying to make this short, there are some points and takeaways of this. The fire suppression system is necessary. It's a mandatory component of the overall facility. We can build it, we can't switch it on, and as GFP says, you're good to go. It's not just going to be fire suppression is not going to be supported by just water. Of course, they have other systems, the non-water type, that can address electrical and electronic equipment. More importantly here, the design is currently based on current water pressures. Essentially, we don't have any water pressure out there. We have like a fraction of what is required. So while we were doing the presentation, after our presentation, somebody in the audience asked me, I was on the side and said, well, why don't you put a pump? Why don't you just pump it in? Well, we can't pump water, there's no water. So the whole idea of this tank is to build it up to get that to get enough water to suppress fire, to have an 8-hour refill capacity. And that's what it's driven by. It's driven by regulation and code. And that being said, the zoning code, particularly section 61617, I want to brag, I know where that section is. It was made particularly for these cases where there is a difficulty, there is a situation with the property that prevents you from doing what everybody else can do. So if they had water pressure, in other words, and if they had their appropriate land, then is that water pressure over there? Then we wouldn't have the need for a water tank this week. Okay. So there is practical difficulties, exceptional circumstances to the properties. We have voids, as I mentioned earlier. It will not be detrimental to the public with respect to the industry that it provides. It is the third largest industry. The first one is supposedly tourism, next one is military. The third one is Wamping and Adaba for the rest of the East Florida. Okay? And regardless of how high that tank is, our proposed use as a data center is consistent with the master plan that was approved for the North Market. So with this, sir, we hope you request a positive Dmpc resolution. I struggled with this slide, but I thought I'd throw it in. And so, yes, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you.
So the only, I know at the last, on August 12th, we had that land management hearing here, and we had one of our representatives from our municipality and council members here, and he posed several questions.
Yes.
And I know you're aware of those. I know one of the questions was as far as the water suppression tank to be at 45 feet, correct, right? And then the allowable was 30 feet. I know you had posed a question regarding what about maybe the possible idea of doing two 15-foot water suppression tanks?
That's possible, but you don't have the space. That's the reason why we're sticking to just one, again, let me bring it back. Good. And that's a good point. Why don't we put two? Perhaps maybe even three or ladder. We even thought about the idea of having a water buffalo, a company that holds water buffaloes and have them on standby, having them parked, getting it ready. We've went through all these different scenarios.
Yes.
But what would make GFB happy is something permanent, something there, something ready to go. Okay? Not relying on anything else like, oh, we have to take the water buffalo and put it somewhere else for today and use it for dust control whenever. They needed something permanent. Okay, so why not two? Again, we don't have the space. We have to go into so after figuring out the preliminary preliminary geo testing that was done on this property, they found that it was too extensive, at least for the preliminary stuff they got. They said, we're just going to use this for storage. We want to put up our wire bales, any wheeled equipment and whatnot it's not too heavy. They want to store it over here. So the idea of putting the water tank out here, it was based on whether they would actually allow us to put our water tank in here. Again, we were able to allot enough area to put this 45-foot high tank up. And I'm not an engineer, all I know is the basic math, again, 2 pi r squared. But it came up to 45 feet with a very small footprint on the ground. That is going to apply here. They didn't want to put 2 tanks. That would be too risky. As a matter of fact, this is not being squared up, as you can see. This is not being squared up. There's supposedly, and I can verify that later on, there's supposedly a void in this area that kind of extends into here.
So the proposed property right now where that is at, and then on the option B, those are the same landowner or?
Same landowner. Yeah.
Marvin, when you say void, you mean like big cracks on the ground?
Like, the comparative I'm using is the one like at Tulacas Point, the one that's caged up. Okay, so they have cavernous.
Yes.
And they have, there's another word for it when it goes horizontal. So we have a spaghetti series of that.
Yeah.
So actually, call them voids.
And I'm just calling them voids. But
Yeah. So actually within that area, that whole area, there's several areas throughout that whole particular area that they have, forgot what they call it, defeating tomorrow, but anyways, it's drop-offs that they have. And the reason I say that too is because I've been in those jungles before, prior to a lot of these developments coming up,
It's not like an mountain.
No.
Like a mountain is like a water.
Yeah.
like a water, almost like a water bro. But you see how Two Lovers Point, out there, they have that one drop off there with the fence around it. There are similar areas within that whole top, just like that have those things. And the reason why I bring that up too is because growing up as a kid within that area, my grandpa and my uncles had taken me into that area for, quote unquote training. The first thing my grandparents would tell us, or my grandpa would tell us, was that just, follow his lead and be careful because there's going to be some sudden drop-offs. And I know in the past, we've had certain situations where people went missing And, you know, some of them were found within those areas, right? And, yeah, I just, you know, thought I'd bring that up as you mentioned the area of, Mr. Berlanti had brought up as void. You know, you use the word void right, for those particular areas. So, yeah, that's a big concern around the surrounding area. Man, I know it's hidden throughout those areas, and I know, you know, several contractors, you know, in the past, given that other side there, where they came across not too deep, but it was, you know, good enough to be of concern.
Yes, yes. And again, you know, it's not just a typical building we're installing a very dense building or structure. It's gonna be weighed down with water. One thing that for the audience out there, these tanks, this particular tank is going to be dedicated just for fire suppression. We're still trying to figure out, to some extent, I think they kind of figured it out, you know, water for the toilets and kind of the, you know, personnel use in that area, but it is dedicated because it has to reach that 8-hour refill capacity. So as slow as it is, even if it's trickling, we still have enough water there to get to the fire. Ergo, the pumps are moved. It just has to go down enough to put out the fire and then start filling again. So it'll be constantly filled at one point or another throughout a you know, unfortunate mishap. God forbid. And anything else, sir?
No further questions. I know, come Wednesday, our NPC members that they didn't come today, obviously, then they don't come tomorrow. On Wednesday, they're gonna have some questions.
So we'll be here.
Yes, thank you guys.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the? Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Marvin. Okay, we adjourn this public hearing at 6:25. Thank you. Thank you.